Hey guys, Parfax here, and today we have a massive update on the PTR. So, we didn't really expect anything anytime soon. Brimstone is very fresh. We have fresh start servers coming up, but New World AGS has dropped a pretty big patch on the PTR, and I'm here to talk about it. First, we are getting the new mutation that they had talked about. It is a Starstone Burrows and Amarine Expedition matchup or mashup. So it's basically a mix of those two dungeons. We'll have to get on the PTR so I can see if there's any cool gear in there or what all really this entails. But this is a pretty interesting that we're getting this so quickly. And you can see here, just saying that it's going to be on the PTR and the new mutation. I wonder what it's called. I wonder if they're just calling it the Starstone Burrows Amarine Mashup. I hope not. I hope they give it like its own little unique name. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. But that's not the only change we are getting. We have crafting and refining station tier changes. And this actually makes a pretty big difference. And it says here, we are making two major changes to improve trade skill leveling experience. The Forge, Outfitting Station, Workshop, and Arcane Repository now offer Azoth discounts for relevant recipes. You can see here, Tier 3 is 20%, Tier 4 is a 30%, and Tier 5 is a 50% or 45% discount. Certain recipes will no longer be gated behind tiers. So for crafting stations, more procedural weapons and armor recipes, arcane repository, stat potions, health, mana, regeneration, and focus, and elemental recipes, and kitchen, health, and mana foods. So these are interesting. So the way that I read these is most armor recipes and the kitchen, like health, mana foods, and so not stat foods or trade skill foods, but all your mana and health foods and all of your stat potions no longer will be gated behind tiers. So this means what I believe this means is we will be able to craft them no matter what tier of workshop it is, which is going to be really good, because a lot of times you want to just be able to craft your mana potions or your hearty meals wherever you want. And sometimes it's very frustrating to not have that. And of course, your weapon and armor recipes as well. Then we have refining stations. Tier 3 unlocks. Recipe level is less than or equal to 100 and not legendary. And the recipe level is 150 and not legendary. And then recipe is 200 or legendary at any recipe level is tier 5 unlocks. Then stone cutting, all gem cutting is no longer gated, but gem fusions remain gated behind relevant tiers. I believe they're talking there about runestone gems, etc. Oh no, sorry, fusions are when you try to tier up yours. So if you have like the tier 4, you can, or tier 3, you can turn them into tier 4 and stuff like that. So that's gonna be gated, but you'll always be able to do your cut gems, which is really good. And then you can now join a company if you're not factioned. Now, you might think this is a little odd change, but in the new player experience, I think this is more for fresh start. They added to where you don't actually join a faction until you're in your 20s. And sometimes you can actually just kind of miss it and not really go out of your way to get it. Now, the only thing here is you can't become the governor or participate in wars, which is just fine. And it looks to be that if you are still not in the same faction, you will not be able to join a company. And whenever you make a company, you will have to declare a faction. It's just kind of a little quality of life issue. So when we do the fresh start servers, people can get into their companies a little quicker. We have Group Finder, active lobby counts. Players can now see the number of active lobbies for each expedition, both on the map tooltip and the expedition entrance. Some more quality of life changes there. And shell company mitigation. So we will be implementing the following changes to make shell companies less effective at owning multiple territories. Daily war limit. Okay. Players will have a limit of 1 defense war and 1 attack war per world. Resets daily at 5 a.m. Normal daily reset time. These limits will apply to both, even if you have 2 different characters in the same world. Okay, so this is an account bound. So if you want to have multiple characters in the same war, you're going to have to buy multiple accounts. I like this. So if you were able to abuse the system and have multiple characters in the same world, then yeah, now you can still only do 1 war. That's really big. Then we have war roster restrictions. We knew this was coming. Oh, wow. So participant companies will have a limited number of mercenaries they can recruit. Attacking companies up to 40 mercenaries. So mercenaries are people that are not in your company. And then defending companies can have 15 mercenaries. The remaining slots are reserved for their company members. So if you are attacking, you only have to attack with 10 of your people. And then if you're defending, you can only have 15 people outside your company. This is pretty big. This is the number they kind of settled on the dev blog, which was 35. So if you don't have a company that can slot 35 members into your war, this means you cannot defend your territory. You can attack, but unless you can get some people in your company to defend that war, then you're not really going to be able to. Now, you're going to be able to abuse this a little bit, which is fine. You're still only going to have the one attack and one defense per day on that account. So we will see how this works out. This is going to be play a pretty big role in some companies owning 6, 7 territories at a time. They should really limit that. We have company switching cooldowns, which we saw this on the PTR as well. And it says when leaving a company, players will start a 72-hour cooldown on fighting in a defensive war and earning influence for any company towards war declaration eligibility. The cooldown begins once a player leaves. Any influence earned will still count towards the player's faction. This just means you can't just freely swap companies into your shell companies over and over again. Now, I believe on the PTR, you will still be able to war, but you'll be considered a mercenary and not actually somebody in that guild, even if you are in the guild. So it didn't say that there, but I believe that's how it worked in the PTR, so we will see. And we are getting leaderboards. Leaderboards will reward players, companies, and factions across all categories. Mutated expeditions, faction war. I'm not sure what faction war means. Then we have player versus environment, so PvE, PvP, and trade skills. Every category contains subcategories. For example, faction war, okay, here we go, includes territory control score, finishing in the top 10 of any leaderboard at the end of the week, monthly, or quarterly. Rotations for exclusive skins, achievements, and titles. Rewards cannot be earned in the PTR. So you can't just go in there to earn some of those cool rewards. That's really cool. I'm glad there's not any monetary value here. It is just skins, achievements, and titles. This is going to be really good for the game. It's going to give people a reason to kind of grind out those things. We'll have to see exactly what these little subcategories are. But we've been waiting for leaderboards, and it looks like we're getting them. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see what they are. We have PTR client access. We know that. PTR backstory loadouts. This is just a little bit of a PTR stuff. If you want to see that, I will link it in the description down below. So yes, so we're getting mutations. We're getting some changes to crafting. We're getting some changes to territory control, which we knew. So what do you guys think? This is actually a lot of really cool updates. This, in my opinion, is just they're trying to get ready for the new fresh start servers that are launching. They want to make sure they get these out there for everybody to try out because they really, I imagine, want at least the territory control stuff. This all stuff to be in. Oh, this is the crafting stuff. The crafting and the territory control stuff to be in at fresh start. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of these changes. Like us, comment, subscribe, like always, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.